Dan Le Batard.
I hate what you two have done to sports television.
You can say that all you want to.
He's honest.
This felt un-American, what happened last night, okay? Basically a chant, send her back. There's a racial division in this country that's being instigated by the president, and we here at ESPN haven't had the stomach for that fight. And then here, all of a sudden, nobody talks politics on anything unless we can use one of these sports figures as a meat shield in the most cowardly possible way to discuss these subjects.
He's passionate.
Send her back. How are you any more American than her? You're more privileged. You're whiter. You're richer. But people don't know whether your money's real or not. You've had every privilege afforded to you by America. Every privilege. And now what you do with that power is you go after brown people and black people and minorities.
And he's shown he will not be silent.
But I just don't want to sit out the next 4 or 5 months, no matter how it is that they end up going, because I can't talk about stuff. It's the choice we made.
And personally, I love it.
What started to fray everything before Chris Cody was the limitations on speech because of a corporate policy that now results in all the walls falling down. So Dana White is endorsing Donald Trump for 5 minutes on McAfee.
Because he knows the price of what he's doing.
There have been fans lost, but I would make the argument that standing for something in this particular climate has also made us gain fans and gain the strength of fans that we already have. But I totally understand your objection if that's not what you want from a sports show. I hope you understand my objection that at 55 years old, I'm not going to spend all my time talking about Davante Adams. I'm just not going to do that anymore.
But he also knows staying silent is simply not an option. Thus,
hey, it's me, Dan, and it's National Registration Day, and I'm here to tell you that you've got a chance to win a sports vacation if you do what I tell you right now. You text Dan, the word Dan, to 57568, and you've got a chance to win a sports vacation. You name the team, you name the game, except for the playoffs. We're not doing the playoffs. Don't get greedy on me. You get 2 tickets, you get travel and hotel, you get $500 for concessions and merch, you get 3 friends that you get to enter, you triple your chances of winning. Just text the word Dan. It's easy to spell. It's easy to spell. The word Dan is not easy to smell. It doesn't smell like anything. You text the word Dan to 57568, or you could visit headcount.org/Dan. You get a chance to win a sports vacation. Do the right thing because it's your civic duty, or try and win a sports vacation. Either way, do it.
Le Batard used his platform to push for voter registration, and it was wildly successful.
Text the word Dan to 57568, or you could visit headcount.org/Dan. The entire show is going to be live today. And all we're trying to do is make sure that you register to vote or just even check your registration status. Headcount will make sure you get the information that you need. It's a nonpartisan organization, Headcount, and so that's what we're going to be doing all show today, and we're going to be live all show.
I want to underscore checking your status because there might be people listening to us right now that are pretty certain they're registered to vote. However, they may be living in a state that has all sorts of screwy rules, and maybe they're no longer eligible for absentee voting. So checking your status is the best way to make sure you're still good to go because every state is different.
Thank you, Abe.
The guest list featured this guy.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. And they asked me to do it a couple of days before I went on, and I really gave it a lot of thought.
Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr, one of the finest writers out there, Ari Berman of Mother Jones.
In Texas, you can vote with a gun permit, but not a student ID. Because of a past felony conviction, 4 million Americans can't vote. Since the 2020 election, 28 states, so more than half the country, have passed new laws making it harder to vote. Despite the fact that you're more likely to be struck by lightning than to commit voter fraud, 35 election officials in 8 states have refused to certify election returns since 2020. The United States is the only major democracy in the world where you can lose the popular vote and still win the Electoral College. Out of 172 countries that are recognized as democracies, the United States ranks 139th in voter turnout. 80 million Americans who are eligible to vote in 2020 did not vote. 231 million Americans are eligible to vote, but 63 million Americans, a full 27% of us, still aren't registered.
And much more. On Kerr, he would discuss being asked and then executing his DNC speech in Chicago.
They asked me to do it a couple days before I went on, and I really gave it a lot of thought because I knew I was going to take a lot of heat for it. But I wanted to make sure I got the right message across, what was most important to me. And, after thinking about it, I realized, hey, they asked me for a reason. They think it matters that I speak my mind. And so I decided to do it, and it was very nerve-wracking, but I'm glad I did it. Met a lot of great people. There was a lot of great energy in the building, and a lot of fun to be part of.
He also touched on the current times we're living in.
I just think the political rhetoric, really the national rhetoric in a lot of platforms is just so ugly these days and divisive. And so I just wanted to make sure my message was a reminder to people that when we come together in a lot of different ways, we can accomplish a lot. I think it applies to sports. It applies to our country too, and we need to come together.
The final results, according to Matt Sullivan, a senior producer at the Le Batard Show, he would tweet this: in the last 24 hours, Dan Le Batard and company drove more than 14,000 voter actions, including more than 750 registrations and 3,000 status checks in the 7 battleground states, without saying the words Trump or Kamala once during a 3.5-hour telethon. I think that is what is the most important. And we have seen it over and over again. When getting the message out, yes, it is obviously vital to understand policies that both candidates bring. Yes, it is important to understand how those policies would affect you, how it would affect your loved one, how it would affect your kid, how it would affect your grandparents, your parents, your friends, your neighbors, sanitation services, climate change policy, taxing the wealthy, etc., etc. But what I also have found through a lot of this is, like, people know where our politics stand, but when it comes to stuff like this, it is more about turnout. Because as we have seen over the years, there's one side that thinks everyone should have a vote, and there is another side that says, no, they shouldn't. So getting voter turnout is so incredibly important because, and it's cliche, but even though it is the simplest way and easiest way to participate in the political process, it is also vastly important to just do it. And while there are so many states under Republican leadership that are trying to make it harder, including in Dan's state of Florida, with Governor Ron DeSantis going after people to try and limit their vote, and they say they don't partake in cancel culture. It's a flat out farce that they don't. But doing stuff like this, I applaud them. And I wanted to put together a piece of their efforts, who they're interviewing, the way that they participate in the political process, and stuff that they have said over the years. I love this. I absolutely love this. And I wish we had more of it. Mainly, I say that, the caveat being coming from sports media. We are so entrenched in an injury to an offensive lineman, or Bryce Young being benched, or it is huge news, but Woj quitting the industry and taking a job with the Bonnies, his alma mater, St. Bonaventure, being a general manager. But it feels like with sports media, we just put this on the back burner, and we shouldn't. We should be talking about these things. We should be pushing voter turnout. We should also be bringing up the policies and rhetoric that take place to then affect athletes. But at least I do say this. Le Batard Show and company, I commend you guys, because this is fantastic work, and I am proud to say I've been a fan for many, many years. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports, and or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.